Welcome to the Varside podcast. Tonight we're joined by Jamie. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm doing all right, mate. Long time no see.
That's right. And you're taking it very easy there on your couch.
I am indeed on the old chaise lounge.
Oh, right. You got a chaise lounge, have you? Oh, very nice.
Well, he's almost in France, isn't he? So you might as well.
He is actually, yeah. He is pretty much in France.
Bonnet de douche.
Bonnet de douche, indeed. And we're also joined by Steve. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, great, mate. Yeah, all good. It's all good.
Good pre-season, good summer.
Yeah, not bad. Yeah, not bad. Yeah,
good. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk a lot today.
No, that's fine.
That's as much as you get.
Keep stum. And Lee, how are you, mate? Good to see you again.
Yeah, seems like it's been ages, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm okay, but my house is nice and quiet now. We had a load of family down from Scotland, and house was chock-a-block, including 2 dogs that do what dogs are wont to do constantly. So it was. No, I won't. Won't go into the gory detail, but
okay.
It's relentless. Put it that way.
Out of Mars bars and empty bottles of Iron Brew scattered around all over the place, aren't you?
Deep fried ones, yeah.
Deep fried, yeah.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. We had a good time, but it's. I'm glad the house is nice and quiet now.
Are you and the dogs, Lee?
Me and the dogs. No, that's not my thing, Steve.
Anyway, moving on.
Right.
We're joined tonight from all the way in sunny Dorset. Is it sunny down there? I don't know if it's sunny down there. Yeah, it was. We're joined by Jason. How you doing, mate? Just all the way back from South Korea, aren't you?
Yeah, thanks very much for the invite. Yeah, really appreciate coming along. Thanks to Jamie and the crew for asking us here. And I've just about recovered from the jet lag, so I should be awake for at least 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. So you did you accustom yourself to the food over there okay? And now you're back, is it back to British food, or are you eating loads of kimchi now? And
I think it's been well documented that I did have some food out in Korea, but I'm back on the Caesar salads, I have to say, and the muesli in the morning as opposed to the Korean barbecue each night. There we go.
Nice. That sounds really good, actually. Yeah, I think I saw a few of the players having a Korean barbecue. It looked really, really nice. So, I was quite jealous of that. Yeah, absolutely. So, where do we start? Been a first time back since the end of the season. We've had a few games. Nothing's really happened in the transfer market for us. So Levy out. I'm Levy out all the way. So who wants to start with the first game, which was against the K-League side, wasn't it? Steve, what did you think of that game?
Yeah, we pissed it, didn't we? I can't recall. I mean, it's quite a while back, mate. I think really, I don't want to pass the baton here, but you want to speak to people that are actually in the ground, I would have thought.
Well, I was going to get round to that, yeah.
I think it'd be good to hear Jason's experience, obviously, from being out there, because he was out there with Chris.
Let's go straight over to Jase.
And was obviously sneaking around behind the scenes there before the first game and training, so...
Oh, right, okay.
Fire away, Jason.
I didn't realise that. That's,
so we arrived on the Monday, so we were there for the open training. So that was the first event after getting off the plane, pretty much in the evening at the World Cup Stadium, Seoul.
Okay.
And the now famous training session, because it was standard stuff right until they started to run up and down the pitch. So I think that hit the national newspapers quite quickly the following day. But yeah, we were lucky enough to be at the first game in the World Cup Stadium, which is just on the outskirts of Seoul.
Yeah.
And what a game it was. I mean, it really came across as exhibition stuff. A 3-6 scoreline and a man sent off in a friendly.
Yeah.
So, but
it was a bit weird.
If you could take anything from it, I think it's the strike by Eric Dyer. I think that was in the one of the early strikes.
That was a nice shot. In fact, I think he had a decent shot in the last game, didn't he? So yeah, I think he's looking to get his shooting boots underway, isn't he?
Yeah.
What was the temperature like out there? Because was it really humid or
incredibly humid? We were drenched.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 30 odd degrees, but it's a different kind of heat over there. British heat compared to Korean heat, a lot different. And the minute you got out of the metro and you went upstairs, you were drenched.
Yeah.
And when you got in the stadium, it's not going to be like Qatar or anything like that. It's no air conditioning, so pretty much, the players were playing in quite treacherous conditions, really, compared to what they would be over here.
A long time ago, but I lived in Hong Kong for about 5 years. And when I went to school out there for a bit, actually, because my dad was in the forces. And but I distinctly remember that oppressive humidity of of countries like those, where you kind of the humidity is so different to anything else you can feel. It's just, you want to take your skin off. It's
very uncomfortable, isn't it?
Yeah.
So Jason, from that training session, were there any sort of interesting observations that you saw from the backroom staff, Conte, and the way in which players were sort of being drilled on the pitch? And
so it's standard stuff in a training session. The guys warm up and they go into ball work, and they go into small groups, and then they moved into a larger group to do bibs versus non-bibs and all that kind of stuff. And it was pretty run-of-the-mill stuff. But then Conte took a perch just in front of the tunnel, sent his marshal out, Giovanni, I think his name is, with a whistle, and it was like a beep test on speed.
Oh, really?
To be honest with you. So I think Son and Kane had missed quite a lot of the pre-season. I think they'd recently joined the group.
Yeah.
And it was notable because they were flagging. I mean, they were on their asses, to be honest with you. And I think one of them was sick at one point.
Yeah, I think Kane was, wasn't he? Yeah.
But what was notable was every time they got on the floor and they went to pretty much collapse, the marshal was with his whistle and barking orders at them to keep going. And it just went on and on and on. But
so
what
that
was
Monty
notable,
Python.
Say again.
So it's like a Monty Python sketching it up and down,
marching up and down the square.
Yeah.
And what was notable was Brian Hill, Papasar, and Sanchez led from the front pretty much, from the start of this. And Brian Hill's got an absolute engine on him, and he was leaving a lot of the group behind, to be honest with you. I mean, he might not be the best guy at finishing and stuff like that, but the boy can run.
I wouldn't mind chatting about him actually a bit later on into this chat about the pre-season stuff, because I we'll go over what we think of those players like Hill and his return, and the fact that he did go out to Korea, which was interesting because quite a few of them were obviously told not to come. So I think he must be running the eye over him. So, but just quickly on the Korea match, what you were saying about the training, obviously that's a very old school style, wasn't it? Really, it doesn't. Yeah. It seems like that sort of style of running up and down all the time seems to be a bit more sort of traditional in style. But that game felt like they were trying to get some of the lactic acid out the legs to start with, and then it did sort of kick into gear when some of the more sort of experienced players came on in the second half, and we sort of ran away with it in the end, didn't we? But it was a nice game. It was, as you say, it's like an exhibition game, unlike the one against Sevilla, which was a very, very different kettle of fish.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah. They certainly came to give us a game. Going pretty hard. Surprised we didn't end up with more injuries. I think Ben Davis ended up with a bit of a sprained ankle, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was a tough game against Seville. So,
what was the reception that Lamela got, Jase? Because he kind of made some comments beforehand about looking forward to seeing the lads and all of that sort of stuff. And for some people, he's pretty mustard, isn't he? Sort of not mustard, Marmite for some people. Some people love him, some people hated him. So, what was the reception that he got?
I was always a fan of Lamela. I thought the shithousery of Lamela was, legendary, and it got us through quite a few games, to be honest with you, especially against the Arsenal.
Yeah.
But it was difficult to gauge the reception for Lamela when you're being drowned out by the reception for Son. So as you can imagine, the locals are in Suwon, where the second game was, every time he touched the ball or went near the crowd, that was echoed. They couldn't have done any more, really. It was like the Beatles stepping off a plane. But Lamela stepped in, I think, when it got a bit feisty just before half time. As the half time whistle went, they started a small fight in the middle of the pitch. And I think it was a bit of a peacemaker, to be honest with you. And there was good social media stuff at the end of it, where the players, got together with Lamela again. And it's a bit of a shame we didn't make a little bit more of his time with Tottenham. But yeah, it was a feisty game. And there were a few tackles flying in, especially from the usual suspects, Romero, who doesn't hold back, and Eric. So yeah, it was both games were good. It was thoroughly enjoyable. Good to see players ramp it up after the training session, because you can see the difference now going into what is now the fourth game, third game at Rangers. So
yeah,
is that right?
Yeah, third game.
Yeah. So you can start to see the benefits of that fitness.
Do we also think that these games have been chosen with these teams' aggression in mind to give us real tests, or do you think that's just a sort of byproduct of their enthusiasm? Because it's been notable that the last two teams have been full on. I mean, there could have been some injuries.
Yeah, presumably both managers have spoken and said, let's make a proper game of it, because otherwise I don't think it's just happened by chance, because that could obviously upset people, couldn't it?
Well, Rangers are about to start their season this weekend, aren't they? So they needed to be kind of, they needed a game that's going to be at the level or the tempo that they're going to see in the SPL, or better than that, to kind of, to draw, get them along. So yeah, that's why you're going to certainly. I'm like, who are we playing? Who are we due to play in the next game?
Roma
and Haifa.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a bit feisty, isn't it? With Mourinho,
people kicking Mourinho.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Jason, I was just going to mention, just coming back to career as well, obviously, because you're out there for a few days. What did you make of the crowds out there when you were watching the games? Because when I watched the games, you'd think that the crowd were watching Paul Daniels, pull a dove out of a hat. There were oohs and
they were a bit like that, weren't they?
Then the replay played on the screen, and you could hear ooh and and what was it like out there? What were the fans like? What was the experience of being in the stadiums like?
Jamie, you'll love this comparison, but I don't know if you remember, Wham back in the 80s went to China, and you'll see the crowd, and they don't know quite what to do with themselves. They want to get up and they want to go ecstatic, right? But they don't know whether to stand up and express themselves. And when they do, it's a woo and a R and the old bit of Sonny. But they honestly, it's quite a weird atmosphere. But they tend to do it in groups, so they'll do it en masse. It won't be the old individual sort of going off on one. It'll be everybody together, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, and I think that comes across on the television.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it did. Yeah, it did.
And you could hear over the tannoy, there was someone shouting the occasional name as well, wasn't there? And everyone was sort of reacting to that, which is quite strange.
That was
when there's a shot
thing they do, isn't it?
Yeah. When there's a shot on goal, they'll announce the name, and that then builds it with the fans again. So, but they were sold out in 25 minutes, so you can't knock. The enthusiasm for the team. But there were a few Arsenal shirts, believe it or not, sat in front of me. So, and Liverpool shirts and.
It's bound to happen, isn't it?
Yeah. So, it's a right mixture of people, but majority obviously were Spurs. So
So when you were out there, Jason, did you get to meet any of the players or go behind the scenes at all? Or
so one of the highlights obviously was the training session, being access to that. But on the Saturday, the day of the last game. Sorry, am I coming through a little bit echoey there?
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
The day of the last game, we got to meet the players in a place called IFC Forum 2, which is the financial district of Seoul. And we went there with the other supporters clubs. I think there was only about 150 of us. Okay. And we went round like a horseshoe and met all the players. I think there was a couple of people who had COVID, Forster and Basuma.
That's right.
But got to meet the team, got to say hello to Sonny in Korean, which is probably the only word I know. Hello and SEO, which got me through a few breaking the ice, as it were.